What if the most hated woman in a nation's history never actually said the things she's most famous for? What if her greatest crime wasn't what she did, but simply who she was? Tonight we are stepping into the glittering, suffocating world of Marie Antoinette, a teenage bride who became a queen, a scapegoat, and finally a symbol so powerful that France had to destroy her to save itself. Welcome back to our journey through the lives of history's most misunderstood women. I'm so glad you're here. If you love uncovering the human stories behind the headlines of the past, you're in exactly the right place. And if you're new, consider subscribing. We travel through time together here, and every story reveals something about power, perception, and what it costs to be a woman in the crosshairs of history. Close your eyes for just a moment, and then open them. It's October 1789, and you're standing in the palace of Versailles. But this isn't the Versailles of golden afternoons and garden parties. Tonight, rain hammers against the windows. Somewhere beyond the gates, you can hear them. Thousands of voices, mostly women, chanting as they march through the mud of Paris. They are hungry, they are furious, and they are coming for her. Marie Antoinette stands in her private chambers, still wearing the silk and pearls of a queen. Her guards exchange uncertain glances. Her husband, King Louis XVI, paces uselessly in another room. And outside, the mob screams a single name over and over. L'Autrichienne, the Austrian woman, the foreigner, the enemy. Imagine being 14 years old in a country where you barely speak the language, surrounded by a court that watches your every move with suspicion. Marie Antoinette arrives at Versailles as a pawn in a much larger game. France and Austria have been enemies for centuries. This marriage is supposed to change that. But to the French court, she will always be the Austrian, the outsider, the girl who might be a spy. And then comes the nightmare no one speaks about in polite company, but everyone whispers about behind closed doors. 7 years pass, 7 years of marriage, and no child. The problem isn't Marie Antoinette. It's Louis, who suffers from a physical condition that makes consummation nearly impossible. But in the vicious ecosystem of Versailles, facts don't matter. Reputation does. Pamphlets circulate. Jokes spread. The Austrian Dauphin, they say, must be barren, or worse, immoral. Her every friendship is scrutinized. Her every laugh becomes evidence of frivolity. So Marie Antoinette does what many women do when the real world becomes unbearable. She builds her own. At the Petit Trianon, her private estate within Versailles, she creates a fantasy. 3-foot-tall powdered wigs tower on her head at court functions, each one costing what a working family might earn in a year. She commissions a romanticized peasant village, complete with manicured sheep and porcelain milk pails. She and her ladies dress as shepherdesses in silk gowns and pretend to churn butter. From her perspective, it may have offered an escape from the sophisticated etiquette of Versailles, where even getting dressed in the morning requires dozens of courtesies, watching a rigid ceremony. But now look at it through the eyes of an actual peasant starving in Paris. The queen is playing at poverty while real people eat bark and grass. By 1785, Marie Antoinette's reputation is already fragile. And then comes the scandal that will shatter it completely, the diamond necklace affair. A con artist named Jeanne de la Motte convinces a cardinal that the queen wants to secretly purchase an outrageous, expensive diamond necklace. She even hires a prostitute to impersonate Marie Antoinette in a dark garden at night. The scheme works. The necklace is stolen, and even though Marie Antoinette had absolutely nothing to do with it, even though she's entirely innocent, the public believes she's guilty. Because by now, France is ready to believe anything about the Austrian woman. The truth doesn't matter anymore. The story is too perfect, too useful. And that's when the propaganda machine truly begins. Pornographic pamphlets flood Paris, depicting the queen in increasingly vile scenarios, lesbian affairs, orgies, treason. These Libel aren't just crude entertainment, they are weapons. They are designed to strip her of dignity, of humanity, to transform her from a person into a symbol of everything wrong with the old regime. And the most famous weapon of all? A single sentence she never said. Let them eat cake. It's fiction, complete fabrication. But it spreads like wildfire because it tells people what they already want to believe. That Marie Antoinette is so callous, so out of touch, that she can't even comprehend their suffering. Which brings us back to October 1789, to that rainy night when reality finally crashes through the gates of Versailles. The Women's March on Versailles isn't just a protest. It's an invasion. Thousands of Parisians storm the palace. They murder guards outside Marie Antoinette's bedroom. She flees through secret passages in her nightgown, barefoot, moments ahead of the mob breaking down her door. By dawn, she's forced onto the balcony, facing the very people who want her dead, and somehow she stands there with dignity until they are satisfied. The royal family is dragged back to Paris, prisoners in all but name, as crowds year and wave the severed heads of her guards on pikes. For the next few years, Marie Antoinette will live in gilded cage, watched constantly, her very move reported. She'll attempt one desperate escape in 1791, the flight to Varennes, but traveling in a carriage so conspicuous, it might as well have had fleeing monarchs painted on the side. They are caught just miles from the border and brought back to Paris in a humiliation so complete that even those who pitied her before now see only traitors. When the trial comes in October 1793, Marie Antoinette has already been transformed into something beyond human, a monster that must be destroyed so France can be reborn. The charges are absurd, including one so vile that even hardened revolutionaries shift uncomfortably. They accuse her of sexually abusing her own young son. Her response in the only moment of the trial that pierces through the theater of hatred, she stands and says simply, "I appeal to all mothers." The courtroom falls silent, but it changes nothing. She's convicted within hours. On October 16, 1793, Marie Antoinette is led to the guillotine. Her hair has been cut short, her hands are bound behind her back. She wears a simple white dress, the color of martyrdom, of mourning, of queens. An open cart carries her through streets lined with people who've come to watch the Austrian woman finally pay. The artist Jacques-Louis David sketches her as she passes. Gaunt, exhausted, but composed. She's 37 years old. She's been the villain of France's story for so long that her execution appears to those watching like justice.
And if you want more stories about history's most misunderstood figures, subscribe and hit the bell. I'll see you in the next one.